Welcome, sisters and brothers of the Machinists Union and our allies in the labor movement. This is your 141 report, and I'm your weekly host, Dave Lehive, a communications representative for District Lodge 141. Our report topic today will be about two new vice presidents at large for District Lodge 141, Sister Jen Jolly and Brother Rodney Walker. We will talk to them about their airline work history, their background, and how they rose through the ranks of the Machinists Union. Hear all of this and more as our 141 report starts now. Good afternoon, sister and brother, and welcome to the 141 report.
Thank you, Dave. It's good to be here.
It's good to see you both. So let me get started by officially congratulating you both on your new positions on our executive board for District Lodge 141.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So can you both give the viewers some background on how you got started in the airline industry and the positions you've held in the Machinists Union? And what kind of training have you held as you rose through the ranks? Well, Jen, why don't you go first?
So I started with Continental Airlines in 1991 in Salt Lake City as a reservation agent. I've always worked in reservations. After the merger with United in 2014, I got involved with the union as a shop steward. I really wanted to find out what the union was all about, so I made sure I really got involved in it. Then in 2016, I was voted in as a trustee and my home lodge of 1287. At the same time, I was voted in as the committee chair for the 9 Western states. So that'd be Utah, Colorado, Idaho, Nevada, Montana, Wyoming, California, Oregon, and Washington. So quite a bit of ground to cover. With our local lodge elections in November of 2020, I was voted in as the vice president for our local 1287. So, and it's been a lot of learning and a lot of growing throughout the entire time, with the union being new, basically in my airline industry and career. I took advantage of every opportunity of training that I could get. I attended shop steward training, committee training. I have attended our union school, Winpisinger. I've been to leadership 1, 2, and 3. In this coming November, I'm going to do train the trainer. And then 2 years ago, before COVID shut everything down, I was able to attend EAP 1, which was a great eye opener on everything that we can do as far as tools and resources to help our membership. And I really think that has really helped to strengthen me as not just a person, but as a union rep for, my individuals throughout the states.
Wow, that's a great resume. Rodney, how about yourself?
I started in the airlines in 1992, right after college. As you know, US Air did not get unionized on the fleet service side for a few years after that. I helped organize in my station and in Boston to bring the IAM in. Immediately upon the IAM coming in, I got involved with the Shop Steward program. Did some local training, then became chief shop steward, then became committee chairman. Went to some training down in the Winpisinger, which prepared me for 2 separate negotiations, one on the US Air side and one on the American Airlines side. And here I am today, fortunate enough to be the vice president. And Jen, congratulations, as I was trying to tell you before. That's pretty much where we're at.
So, Sister Jen, you represent at-home reservations agents. Can you describe how this works for our viewers, since the members are not all in one location and are scattered across the country? How do you keep in communications with the membership? And how do you do grievances?
Yeah, that, that's a great question, Dave. And that is something we are trying to build and improve constantly as things change and everything else. Remote reservations is a very unique job with challenges of all its own. With the 9 states that I represent, I personally have agents that live and work in 4 of them: Utah, Colorado, Idaho, and Nevada, which for me, that's about 300 agents. So for my way of communicating, we have set up, since we don't have like a local that we can go and put our union board, we've made a private Facebook page to, members have to come in by special invite, and we put upcoming news and information on that to cover any elections or any bit of information that we can share by that way that's can be not so private. I also emails, lots and lots of emails. I use MailChimp, and I send out a email blast once a month to the 300 to everybody with information that I'm dealing with, any upcoming changes or things that we're fighting with as far as in our direct reservation group, and trying to pull information from them and gather more resources. Then I send out for my different states anything that is particular for their area. Last month, the state of Utah, for example, was having major issues with the phone with CenturyLink. No other agents were having issues. So trying to gather, we can work together, stronger, more people that stand together on issues, the better we have of fighting and making better changes. Getting all my agents that work with CenturyLink to get the information so we can try to get the company to recognize the old analog phones is not the way to go in the future. We need to open up better resources and better tools for our people. I hold Zoom meetings. So I do a Zoom meeting once to twice a month, depending on the agent group, and they know that they can reach out to me if there's a major pressing issue that's come up. I'll set up a Zoom meeting, send meetings out. We do, oh gosh, when I have agents that are being brought up in discipline, in severe discipline, or being pulled for service, I start hitting the road, and I'll make a drive to Colorado and meet with that agent face to face. I always try to think, when I'm doing this job, what would I want? What would I expect of my person that's going to represent me? And I think sometimes putting that face in front of them so they can see who I am, not just read my words or hear my voice, but see my face and make that connection. I think that helps in building that overall trust, and the agents are more apt to come in and get the help that they need. I also will go in different areas and set up, I'll send out emails and say, hey, you guys, you want to get together? If you got 5 agents, let's do a lunch, let's do dinner, let's do something, go sit at a park. And so I do meetings all over throughout Utah. Utah's a pretty big state, so I have a bunch all over. And so we'll get together and do small greetings. I've been to Nevada a few times. I met with my agent groups in Nevada. I've been to Colorado a few times. I have 3 agents in Idaho, and unfortunately, I have not been able to get face to face with that group yet. I'm hoping, because they live pretty far north of the Canadian border. It's a bit of a drive, but I'm hoping to reach out with that group. It's emails, Zooms, texts, phone calls. Is Facebook, unfortunately, is a big one. Yeah.
It sounds very challenging, as because everybody's in their own home and they're scattered across such a large part of land. It's hard to get around. So it sounds like you're doing everything you can to reach out to those members. Let me ask you, do you have shop stewards that you have on your team that you work with?
Yes, directly. Overall reservations, we have 52 shop stewards. Okay. Overall in all the states. Me, myself, as the committee for Utah or for the Western states, I have 4 that reportedly direct to me. I have 2 that are trained. I have 2 that are being trained the end of this month. But I have an agent in Idaho can take a shop steward from a shop steward that lives in Florida. And that steward, as soon as they're done with the meeting and everything else, will reach out to the committee that is assigned to that agent's state.
Okay.
So they're not, the agents are, they're not restricted as far as, you have to go with that one. So we, as a committee group, we work very closely together with all of our shop stewards to make sure all of our shop stewards are up and trained and current with everything that's going on. And as far as communicating each other, what issues are coming up. It seems to go in waves of attendance issues or discipline issues with performance or system issues, like they said with the CenturyLink issue last month. We try to keep everybody involved so that, because if it's happening here, it's got to be happening across. So the 6 committees, including myself, Jill Hasmini, Dina Pania, Tony Katoya, Renee Sorrells, and Jen Romano, we meet constantly, and us as a group talk constantly so we can reach out.
Those are some good people.
Very good.
Yeah, before I move on to Rodney, who's assigned as your AGCs to help you out?
Sure. My AGC that I report directly to is Tony Gibson. And I'll tell you, I love that man. He has been the best role model for me as I've grown in my union shoes, been a great example of the type of person that I hope I can be with the union and represent. But I also reach out to Andrea Myers and Sandy Ohms. So we as a group, a work group with United, we are very lucky to have those 3.
Awesome.
Very strong. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Good group.
Good people there. Brother Rodney, you've had the honor of working on our industry-leading contract at American Airlines that we ratified by over 95% last year. What was that process like?
Well, very tedious, very time-consuming. Away from a great deal, but before I go a moment forward, let me just give a shout out to the other people that were there. Obviously, President Clem, an inspiration to all of us. Mike Fairbanks, AGC Mike Fairbanks, AGC Billy Wilson, AGC Pat Resler, AGC Steve Miller, AGC Mark Basket. So very time consuming. We spent a lot of time together. I don't know if you were at the meeting in Chicago, but I think Mark Basket said it best. With the amount of time we spent together, it was like we became family. We knew everything about each other, and that became tedious, but I'm just joking. But anyways, it was hectic. A lot of reading, a lot of studying, much more than what people think. It by no means is negotiations with the stereotypical idea that goes around in the break rooms is what really takes place. It's very cumbersome.
So let me ask you, Rodney, with, you worked in this contract for a couple of years, basically. Where do you think our membership would be today if we hadn't ratified this agreement with what happened with, COVID and what's going on in the industry right now? Give me some feedback on that. Let our members hear your thoughts on it.
Well, obviously we'd be still operating under our old contract because we all know they're amenable in the airline industry. So we'd probably be still stuck with that with a few years to go. With the COVID and everything and the mandates being put forth, airlines were furloughing people, everything. It was chaos, as you know, in the whole world. And that came right into the airline industry. Where would we be? Far short of where we are today. We would be in an uphill battle, and I truly don't believe we would possibly gotten everything that we got now. We went into negotiations at a fantastic time. Everything was great. Everybody was making money. Our CEO was talking about we'd never lose money again. There's no way this is going to happen. So where would we be? In chaos.
So Sister Jen, you were originally a Continental Reservations agent. Can you describe the difference coming from non-union to becoming a union represented employee at United Airlines? And now you have the honor of sitting on the executive board.
It's a lot. I mean, it's so hard to really put into aspect from where everything was and all the subcontinental agents were, 5-6 years ago to where we are today. As non-union before, I mean, we are in so much better off today than we were before. We as a work group, we can stand together and we can make the changes and positive changes in our area. Now we have a tool. Before, we go knock on a door and talk to somebody. Sure, they might have heard, they listened, but they never heard us. Now our voices can be heard because now we have not just one agent going to that door. We have 50 agents. We have 100 agents. We have 1,500 agents. going to that door and getting our voices heard and helping to make those changes in our work area and improving, things for us as reservations. Sitting on the executive board, I am so honored. I mean, I don't know. I'm still feeling overwhelmed and just hoping I can step up to the responsibilities that'll be coming my way. I mean, I'm still learning. I'm just trying to stay, I'm staying very open and responsive to anybody and everything that comes my way, and just trying to be a sponge and absorb as much as I can. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for the new challenge, and it's been a crazy ride, and I'm excited for what tomorrow's going to bring for not just me, but for my whole work group.
So Brother Rodney, can you describe what your role on the EBoard will be like?
Well, I have not been to my first EBoard yet, but I would assume my role would be like everybody else. The EBoard is charged with enforcing the IAM Constitution, the district bylaws, and representing the membership of District Lodge 141.
So Sister Jen, same question.
Okay, I'm right there with Rodney. I haven't been to my first EBoard meeting. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I'm assuming, the same position as Rodney, enforcing the district logged bylaws, helping new membership come along, supporting, working really closely with Tony, Andrea, and Sandy, the 3 reservation agencies, and helping them, fill in wherever they need me, and any special projects that we've got coming up. I know United, we're going to be looking at negotiations coming soon, so reaching out, getting surveys done. So I think it's going to be a lot of new learning for me, so it's going to be exciting.
So before we close out this really interesting interview, do either one of you have anything you want to say before we finish up?
Yes, I would like to say, as Jen said, this is a very humbling and honoring experience to be brought into this group of people. They are all outstanding. They're the best at what they do. And I'll be a team player with the rest of them. Hopefully I can bring it to the table like they do.
Jen, anything?
I stand right there with you, Rodney, and see all those same things. And I mean, this is very humbling to me and very exciting as well, with all the changes that are coming up. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
Well, this wraps up this week's 141 report. We want to let our members know that our social media presence continue to grow and expand. When Facebook crashed last week, our Twitter outreach spiked in follows as members were using this platform. In case you didn't know, you can find us on Twitter at IAM District 141. So give us a follow. This concludes our report this week. Everyone have a safe and healthy weekend. Bye for now.